Welcome to the Hank Cisco Show, ladies and gentlemen. Don't touch that remote. We got a great show here. You know, when I get guests in my show here, I handle winners, okay? And we got a winner here today. She's winning every battle she ever fought, okay? And just like a fighter, she bobs and weaves, and she knows when to punch, when to duck, when to swing. So, and that's so important when an elected official deals with the people and helps the people not only enforce the law, but help to make sure that they don't get in trouble, and helping children to learn at an early age. So she writes a book, okay? And she's district attorney. She enforces the law. Who am I talking about? Risa Ferman. How you pronounce it?
Ferman.
Ferman, right, okay. I'm all good on there. She is a district attorney here in Montgomery County, and let me tell you, she's a fighter, okay? She never lost a fight in the dressing room. She bop, boop, bop, right? So, Risa, welcome to Hank Cisco Show. And I just want to say, ladies and gentlemen, I've had some people here that were running for office, and they won, you know. I have all winners. I had Mike Grant, who was a heavyweight, and he had about 15 fights. And I said, someday this guy's going to fight for the championship of the world. And later on, 4 or 5 years later, he was in Madison Square Garden fighting for the championship of the world, a heavyweight championship of the world. So today, I have someone with me. I make a prediction that she will be one of the top law enforcement or governors of this state of Pennsylvania. She has all the ingredients, has all the backing, and all the personnel, and all the looks, too. You know, you got to be, you know, it's a nice, you know. So, Risa Ferman, you know, I'm throwing a lot of bouquets at you, but you deserve a lot of credit for what you've been doing for, you know, someone to get in there and handle a big office. How many people you got in your office?
You are such a sweetheart, Rock. You are so kind. You're setting the standard really high for me. I got a lot to do now. It's great to be here. It's great to be back with you. Well, you know, in the DA's office, we have about 145 people who work for us. It is a huge operation, tremendous responsibility. Everything from, as everyone typically knows, prosecution of cases, the investigation of cases, and crime prevention. That's a big part of what we do. Right.
And when a case comes to you, you investigate to make sure that he's not falsely accused. He or she is falsely accused, right? That's your job, right?
Our job is to make sure that the word justice in the criminal justice is what we accomplish.
Right.
And so it starts at the beginning of every case. I mean, before there's a case, just a report, an investigation, we make sure that that's done. It's done comprehensively and thoroughly, and it's really with an eye towards what is the right thing to do.
Right. So now, you have the county detectives. How many different units you have? You have the county detectives, and then the different departments like drugs. And tell us.
Well, you worked in the county detectives.
I was a former county detective. But I never worked under you, right?
You did.
No.
We didn't even get to work together. Well,
No.
not with you as a detective in law enforcement, but many years since then. The county detectives have really expanded. I mean, we do a homicide unit where we respond to every homicide in the county, our narcotics unit, our major crimes unit, where we have special investigations, we do government corruption, we do elder abuse, elder justice, and then we have units within the office, like our crime scene unit and our special services unit, that really help us just across the different units and subjects that really help us gather evidence properly and maintain it properly.
So, but now, being involved in that and making an investigation, make sure you get all the evidence, and, you know, I guess you teach your people, and I guess the most important thing for any investigating officer, to preserve the evidence when you're the first person on the scene. Don't louse up the evidence like they did in the Simpson case. The police were walking all over the blood and feet and all, and it made it tough for a follow-up. Am I right?
You know, I think the key word is integrity. You know, you have to maintain the integrity of what we do. So if you maintain the integrity of the evidence, then it will be there for you to evaluate and determine what it means. If you maintain the integrity of an investigation, it's going to be done properly so that then we can secure proper convictions and they will have integrity. So I think the word integrity is the one that sums up best the way we have to do our job and the guiding principle behind every single thing that we do.
Right. Now, the district attorney's office gets involved the police make the initial investigation. Now, tell us how that procedure, policy or whatever, goes from the police investigation, and then they send it over to the DA's office, right?
Well, you know, we have, in Montgomery County, we have many police departments. We have 50 separate police agencies with 49 municipal jurisdictions, like Norristown has a police department, Bridgeport has a police department, Upper Merion. So you have all of those individual police departments, and then they work with us in the DA's office and the County Detective Bureau, because that's the County Detective Bureau is our own DA's office type police department. But we're not out on the street. So it's the local police who are out on the street that get the calls, that respond to crime. And on some of the things that cross lines, we call multi-jurisdictional cases, or certain types of cases like homicide or child abuse, or a lot of the narcotics cases, we all work together. So it's not that the police do their job and then hand it off to us. The police do their jobs. They will often call us and we work together.
Okay.
There are certain cases where we work together from the very beginning, and then we make decisions together in terms of what we're going to prosecute. Ultimately, the decision to prosecute something falls with the DA, but that's done with a lot of involvement from all of our police agencies.
Yeah, well, the police, they work along now, and sometimes police have to go to an initial hearing before a district justice, and you feel, if the police feel that they want a district attorney there to make sure that the legal points, everything comes out, and you don't screw up on the case. Is that right? How's that work?
You know, the way it works very simply is they can call our office, you know, on any case. If they feel that they need assistance, they can call our office, and we try to accommodate them. I mean, sometimes the scheduling is hard. You can imagine there are, I think it's 30 district judges across the county.
Right.
Plus we have all of our common pleas judges that we have to cover. But we make the effort. If they think to call us and they think it's important, then we're going to be there. And then there are cases, just that the higher level cases, some of the more complicated cases, or the cases where multiple police departments are involved, we're going to get involved with from the beginning. So, you know, so for example, you know, every single homicide case, a prosecutor is going to be there. Every single case of child abuse, a prosecutor is going to be there. Any case that involves multiple jurisdictions and more complicated crimes, we're going to be there. It just makes sense for us to work that way. You know, having a prosecutor work on those cases from the beginning, so that we're doing everything that we need to in compliance with the law, that we're gathering not just the basic information, but gathering evidence in an investigation that we're going to need a trial.
Right.
So, you know, the old way of doing things, where the police investigate, they just hand it off, and then the prosecutor figures out everything else. You know, that's really old school and old-fashioned. Right now, we try to investigate from the beginning to figure out what we're going to need all the way through the end.
Right. But, you know, what I like about you is that you keep an operation moving, the division, and then you find the time to write a book. Look at this.
You just like that I'm always busy. I'm always doing something.
She finished this book. She's working on a second book, but she's not going to. You don't want to tell what it's about, the other one, right?
I'll tell you a little bit.
No. Okay. Well, tell us about this book here. The Mouse Who Went Surfing Alone. Surfing is like what? On the water.
So surfing is certainly on the water. The mouse is surfing on the water, but it's meant to be an analogy for kids surfing the internet, surfing online. The Mouse Who Went Surfing Alone is a children's book, and it's designed to teach young kids about safety online. So all of the adventures that Wesley, the mouse, will find as he is surfing on the water, they're meant to be analogies to things that could happen online, and to give safety tips to parents and to kids about computer safety.
You know, now your office, you know, years ago, it was just like one or two divisions or so. Now, with this internet and all that stuff, tell us some of the stuff that you had to follow through, like wiretapping and stuff like that. What are some of the techniques? Back
when you were in the office, and even back when I first started in the office, we didn't have computers. I mean, when I first got my desk in the DA's office, I didn't have a computer. We had secretaries, and they had typewriters, and you could dictate things, and I had this funky dictaphone on my desk, and I could dictate things. Eventually we got computers, and we were able to do our own documents and word processing. And then eventually the internet developed. I mean, and I'm not that old, but it feels like I'm ancient.
You're holding up pretty good.
Old enough that I feel like you know, I was part of that generation.
You're like me. I'm 90 years old, and everybody don't believe it, but I'm November the 9th, 1923, on a Friday afternoon.
Hey, and happy birthday too!
Right.
What a great milestone. that you just marked.
So go ahead.
So we just, as computers developed over the years, criminals started to use technology. So we had to be ahead of them. We had to be better than them. We had to know more than them. And then we developed, I shouldn't say we developed, as technology advanced, different resources became available to us. So for example, people have cell phones and they use their cell phones. There's a lot of information that we can access with search warrants and court orders. I mean, not just we can go out and take, but that we get court approval to get. And we can get a lot of information about what people are doing and the way they're committing their crimes. Some people commit crimes using computers, using their phones. Sometimes evidence of a crime is going to be available on a device. And the more that we have the access to that kind of technology, the easier time we have proving the crimes. Wow. So just, you mentioned wiretaps, because wiretaps go back to when you were doing work in the office. It used to be you would do a wiretap on a phone, like a landline, right. A hard line. And now it's very different. Now you do wiretaps on cell phones. Now you do wiretaps on devices that people are moving around. Now we use whatever the technology is that people have available in their daily lives. There are ways that law enforcement can access that to gather information. Well,
let me say this. As a district attorney, today I think young teenage girls, now we're in the Northtown High School, we're taping here in that school, and a lot of young girls are being victimized, I guess the word you use, victimized, I guess I'm using fancy words, on this, on the computer. Mm-hmm. Now tell me what the scoop is. Like somebody will make a date and he meets her, and then next thing you know there's a problem, or you make an arrest when the guy has a lot of dirty pictures or so, I guess they call it. Tell me, how do you get into this? And I want young girls to know that how you protect them, or how you make the apprehension, how you make the investigation. So really, it kind of goes back to why we wrote this children's book. And when I say we, I actually did this with my kids. I grew up in a generation of parents where we didn't have to deal with computers. So when my kids were young, we didn't have computers in the house that they were using. The internet wasn't something that they were accessing. And as that technology became available, our kids started to use it more than we did. So I kind of came up in this generation of parents where we didn't teach our kids when they were really young like this about safety online, because they didn't have to even think about it. Right. But in maybe a 10-year period or so, that really changed. And all of a sudden, as parents, we have kids they're on their phones, and the regular phones became smartphones and text messages and all these social media platforms, Facebook and Twitter and MySpace and Reddit, and I mean, I could go through the list. It would make your head spin of all these different platforms that are out there. And I think what really happened is when our kids at an earlier, my kids' ages, started to get onto this technology, no one was really teaching them about how to be safe. And so a lot of kids for a long time really did some reckless things. So now we're kind of going back and we're saying, okay, we're going to teach kids before they're on computers. We're going to take preschool age kids, and we are going to teach them about how to be safe using these devices. The internet's great. There's so much information available. Right. You can, if you have a question about something, you go online, you Google it, everything's at your fingertips. But we got to teach kids how to use the devices and use the technology in a smart way, in a responsible way, and let them know, we know they're going to make mistakes. That's what being a teenager is all about. But try to minimize the mistakes that are going to be out there for the world to see. So a big part of what we talk to teenagers about is just being careful and aware of what they put out on all these different platforms. Because a lot of kids, and you're right, it's a lot of girls, but it's boys too, are bullied online. They're teased and they're mocked online. A lot of people share really embarrassing information. Now let's say the mother naturally can't be watching their children on the computer all day long, or a teenage girl, whatever. I'm going to say girls because they're usually victimized more than boys, although they. The fact that the mother is suspicious about something, that she's making calls or getting phone calls or getting what should she do? Make a call and then you make an investigation? No, I don't think so. I think parents, and we talk to a lot of parent groups about this, I think parents need to be involved. They need to be, from the time kids are young, they need to
There needs to be an open line of communication. The kids need to be able to talk to their parents, and the parents need to be able to talk to kids. So, you know, if you're dealing with a 16-year-old girl and all of a sudden you're noticing something, but she can't talk to you, you got a problem right there. I mean, and that's a lot of teenagers, because those lines of communication are not open. So I think it's really important that parents be paying attention to what's happening in their kids' lives, not just when they're 15, 16, but from the earlier ages, and help guide them in a way so that when something is going wrong, that they can confide and trust the parents.
Maybe we should be educating the parents. You know, because when I first became a policeman, I'm 1951, and they put me in charge of the juvenile division. And the first thing on drugs, I didn't know anything about drugs. They give me a gun and a badge, they put me on the street. I had no training whatsoever. And the only first drug was the kids were sniffing glue. They were putting the glue with the paper bags and sniffing glue, and they were looking around, you know, junior high school age, you know. But educating the parents, and I remember some of the parochial schools, the nuns, we had give a little talk when I was in the DA's office. We used to go into the school and identify different drugs. And she didn't know. She said, this guy was always acting goofy and all. Well, she didn't know. So we have to educate the educators and the parents as much, because I fell into this thing, you know. So
we spend a lot of time, just like you guys did back in the day. We spend a lot of time doing education programs in our schools. We make them available every year, and anything that's relevant to what's going on. So we spend a lot of time talking about computer safety. We talk about bullying. We're doing drug abuse, and prescription drug abuse is right now, unfortunately, huge. We spend a lot of time talking about that. We spend a lot of time talking about driving, you know, teenage driving and driving safety, distracted driving. And you know, we've looked at it in the DA's office as what are the issues that are really relevant to kids, to teenagers, and to their parents today, you know, not going back 10 years or 15 years. What's happening right now, and where can we take what we know from law enforcement? Like, where can we take the things that we've learned and share with them? So we go out, you know, every year, and we do programs in the schools, whether it's elementary school, middle school, high school. We do parent programs. We train administrators, school teachers and administrators, doing a lot right now on reporting of child abuse, mandated reporting of child abuse.
That's another thing now. That's you're starting to focus a lot on that child abuse. What's you think, because of the economy or something, or what?
You know what? I think it's one of those. I mean, for me personally, that's just it's been my wheelhouse for so long. I mean, I started my time in the office as a child abuse prosecutor, so it's really what I know better than anything. And as a young prosecutor in the office, I got to see where the systems were bad and where we weren't doing the best thing we could for kids. And that was for me the genesis of our Child Advocacy Center, you know, of our MCAP, which is the Montgomery Child Advocacy Project. You know, really wanting to make sure that when kids are hurt, we're providing all of the tools that they need to heal. But in terms of what we're doing now with training, it's really come out of a lot of things that have happened, and in particular Penn State, the Sandusky case, where people are now willing to talk about it. You know, 10 years ago, I'm a child abuse prosecutor. Nobody wanted to talk about child abuse. I mean, it was just tucked away. It's in the closet, and no one wanted to talk about it. I mean, I ruin more conversations. Like, I'd be at a dinner party, and they want to know what I do, and I tell them what I do. I could shut down any conversation because nobody wanted to talk about it. Not that anybody wants to talk about it now, but I think now there's more of an awareness and a willingness to recognize that our kids are really suffering when they are abused, and we need to deal with it. We need to be open about it. We need to, as a society, know what the signs are, know that it's okay to report it, it's okay to talk about it. I mean, I can imagine what it was like when you were on the street in Norristown. If you had a report of child abuse, it was more likely people would say, oh, forget it, we don't want to tell anybody, let's just keep it in the family, we'll deal with it ourselves. And I think we're in the process of getting away from that, where people are willing to talk, so we can, on my side of it and the police side of it, we can hold perpetrators accountable. But on the kid side of it, we're getting help for the kids. I mean, really focused on medical care, mental health care, follow-up counseling, so that they can heal from what's happened. And I think as we as a society are more willing to accept it and to deal with it's really happening out there, we're doing more in terms of programs and prevention.
Right. It's more, you know, when I had to get back when I was a policeman, a husband and wife, you know, the husband's beating up his wife. Wife come in with a bloody lip, and 2 o'clock in the morning, come in the police station, you know, and we talk it out there, you know, with no abuse there. So But if a guy beat up on a girl, oh, that was a case. But if he beat up on his wife, they thought, well, that's, you know, it's in the family, you know.
Right.
Well, that stuff's out. Now you have this here special unit to protect the wives.
Domestic
You have
violence,
it's
sure.
special, right?
Of course we do. And people, you know, 20 years ago that started to change, where people started to say, you know what, this is a serious issue. And, you know, it's got a name, domestic violence. It shouldn't need a name. I mean, violence is violence, whether it's happening within the family or outside of the family. But it did need to be treated separately because, as you said, people didn't recognize domestic violence. The acts of domestic violence weren't recognized as criminal many years ago. And I think that's completely changed. And it's changed because of awareness. It's changed because there are advocacy groups out there that bang the drum and educate police and prosecutors and community groups about it. Yeah. And then you have to, you know, we as in law enforcement, we have to really help those victims find the courage and the strength to stand up and to fight back. So a lot of them, the victims themselves feel like, well, it's in the family, we'll handle it ourselves. Yeah. But we look at our role as really helping to empower them to stand up for themselves.
Right.
Stand up for what's right.
They'll do it again.
Exactly, because they always do it again.
But I think one of the features that I think is good in the law enforcement, whatever. I had Judge Smythe. I think you have a special where somebody has a little mental problem. You know, they treat it a little bit different. Before it was like, oh, you committed a crime, okay. You didn't even think whether it was mental or what. But now there's a certain area. Yeah. I don't know how's that work. How's the DA involved in that? What? You recognize it, or you do your investigation, figure this guy's only hitting a couple of cylinders?
So we have, and it's a great thing we have going on in the courthouse right now. We have diversionary courts. So courts that are designed to deal with specific problems. So the first one that we developed a number of years ago was drug court. And
that's O'Neill.
Drug court is Judge Steve O'Neill, and he really was the leader in bringing that to Montgomery County.
I think Reed, the football coach's son, was one of the first guys jumped in on that program.
Absolutely, he was. But the idea of drug court is you have people who are committing offenses, either who are drug addicted, and they're committing offenses more because they're drug addicted than anything else. And so, look, if you are a person in that program, it requires an incredible level of commitment. I mean, it is time consuming, it is challenging, it's a burden. But if you are committed to getting off of those drugs and losing that addiction, if you're committed to doing that and you're willing to work hard, that program can really set you on the right path in life. So drug court was the first diversionary court we did. And then we added what you referenced, Judge Smythe's behavioral health court or mental health court. Okay. And that's a terrific program for those who have significant mental health issues. And the court really focuses the treatment. Another one that we did more recently with Judge Ferber, our president judge, Bill Ferber, is Veterans Court. So in our county, we have a Veterans Court that is designed for men and women who have served and then have committed some criminal acts. And the Veterans Court program really channels all of those resources.
Find out what some of the causes.
Well, and resources too, to provide resources for veterans to get the help that they need. So there's a lot of follow-up mental health care and a drug court type program, but under the Veterans Administration. And what we found is a lot of times the vets who had served our country and served so nobly and admirably would come back and then faced all kinds of problems themselves, and no one was there to help them. Right. So this court really takes them in the cases that if it's appropriate to be a diversionary case, so it takes those cases and channels them through a very rigorous Veterans Court program. You know, I've had the privilege of going to one of the graduations, and it really is an amazing thing to see how far people have come. You know, they just need the resources of our system to help get them back on the track where they wanted to start. Yeah. And it really is remarkable to see.
Yeah, one of the proudest moments, you spoke at the graduation. My grandson became a priest. So, you know, it's nothing like your grandfather, your father, having your son or grandson follow your occupation, or, you know, so he's a policeman in West North. I'm so proud. And I told him, but try to make a friend each day. Try to make a friend each day, you know, and you'll be a good cop, you know. But you played a big part on an investigation that I hit the national, you know, all over the world, all over there. Tell me about this case. How a lot of people don't really know just what happened on how it's happened.
Well, you know, I hate to talk about the case as much as I'd like to talk about the officer, because you're talking about Officer Brad Fox from Plymouth Township, and September of last year, we lost him. We lost a police officer in Montgomery County, and just sitting here, I mean, Officer Fox was a Marine. He was on the K-9 unit. He had just graduated with his dog, Nick, and he had been serving for many years in Plymouth Township as a police officer. And on this particular day last September, he was just doing his job as a police officer, responding to a call, and he was with his fellow officers, and something happened where he was then chasing a bad guy, and he and Nick followed this criminal. And very tragically, as he and his partner Nick were trying to track down the bad guy and stop him, this criminal took the officer's life with a gun that was purchased in a straw purchase. So we, as you know from being in Norristown, the last time that any officer had been murdered in the line of duty was 20 years earlier with Officer Barone, right here in Norristown. Right. And that stayed with us. And this, the murder of Officer Fox really impacted us all very deeply in the Montgomery County community. And you have this T-shirt. This was done as a fundraiser for his family. Right. So it's my birthday gift to you today. I hope you're going to wear. I hope you're going to wear it proudly.
Got little cups here, and let me tell you now. The book. We only got about 20 seconds. Tell me, wrap it up. What do you want? What? I want to shake hands with the next governor of the United.
Don't go there. You're going to get me in trouble, my friend.
I said, my father crossed the Delaware River. He didn't cross the Delaware to the Atlantic Ocean. Oh my God,
I'll tell you something.
Go ahead.
Well, you know what? All I could tell you is, I've been the district attorney now for 6 years, coming up on my 7th year. It is a privilege for me every single day to come to the Montgomery County Courthouse and to serve the people of Montgomery County.
Mission Kids. Tell me about the Mission Kids. 20 seconds.
Mission Kids, we make the system easier for kids, one-stop shopping for kids who have been abused, and www.missionkidcac.org. You can look it all up online.
Yeah, you just got yourself a nice little donation here recently from who? Verizon or something?
Oh, we did. Verizon gave us $10,000 so we can train. We're going to train first responders, train medical advocates. I mean, amazing community partner with Verizon. They're an amazing company. Right. And they've been with us from the beginning, providing financial support and public support for all of the things that we do at our Child Advocacy Center.
It's been a pleasure.
The pleasure
Thank
is
you very
mine.
much. And I said, the next governor of the state of Pennsylvania. Okay, I'm going to be, I'll be like a cheerleader. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks a lot for allowing us to come into your home. And I try to make this an educational thing, so you remember something anyhow. Remember, and if you get another thing, they have a resolution in Harrisburg that I'm the only ambassador in the United States, and I get paid weekly, very weekly. But ladies and gentlemen, thanks a lot for allowing us to come in here. May God bless each and every one of you, and for my Hispanic friends, adios amigos, adios. Hey, and let's have a little drink here for a la salud, means to your health. Here we go.
There you go.
It is my little token appreciation there.